Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Shift Happens for Teens, Empowering the Next Generation with Andrea Valley. Hi, Andrea.
Hi, so good to see you, Charissa. Thanks for having me.
And I'm so happy to see you too, and for you to share your wisdom with our audience. And I'm Charissa Sims, live event host for Humanities Team, a 501c3 nonprofit organization whose mission is to make conscious living pervasive worldwide by 2040. And I'm coming to you live from Lafayette, Colorado. And we're excited to have Andrea Vallely join us today. And where are you connecting from?
I am in South Florida. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, we're excited to have everyone here in the green room with us, some that are on camera. And I also wanted to welcome Andrea's audience from Facebook, the Sign Network, those streaming live through the Humanities Team Worldwide Facebook page, YouTube channel, and Stream Plus members. Thanks for being members and welcome. Because it's a live program, we'll have time for questions and comments. Try to get your question in within the first half of the program in 30 minutes. Put it in the chat wherever you're watching, whether it be Facebook, YouTube, and you'll get your question answered by Andrea. So let me share a little bit more about Andrea. Andrea is the co-creator for Shift Happens for Teens, an award-winning blogger, and has appeared regularly on CBS 12 as a leading mindset expert and various radio stations and podcasts, including my podcast, Zen Success. She has been coaching for almost 2 decades and works with CEOs, teens, and offers retreats. Together with her husband, Lee Valley, Andrea developed transformative programs for teens and young people through their Shift Happens practice, helping them navigate life challenges, unlock their full potential. A registered 3 principles practitioner, Andrea continues to coach, speak, and inspire others to live from the inside out, helping them realize their greatest potential. Their program, Shift Happens for Teens, is available now on Stream Plus. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, I always love your energy and enthusiasm for life. You just exude so much joy. So it's always a pleasure to connect.
Thank you.
Can you share the inspiration behind creating Shift Happens for Teens?
Yeah, it was really interesting. My husband and I were just talking about this recently. We did not set out to create a program for teens. Yes, it's true. We didn't. That wasn't something that we thought, oh, let's do this. It was so interesting. We just had a lot of clients that had kids, and I had a kid too, right? And they just said, wow, I would love for you to share this with my child. Can
Is
you
our
do a
world
retreat for teens? That's honestly how it happened. Can you please do a retreat for teens? And we'd been asked a couple of times, and I finally said to my husband, I'm like, you know what? Let's just do this. Let's just do this. And we literally did for teens. We shared the exact same stuff that we share with adults. We just related the stories to kids. And the transformation was amazing. We were shocked at how quickly they saw things, how quickly they were able to, get out of their own way. It was magnificent. So we did it once and we said, okay, let's do it again. And that's where it just completely flourished from that point. It was really amazing. And I mean, I love kids. So for me, it's very, very easy because I just there's so much light, they just don't have quite as much contamination as we do when you get to a certain age, so it's really fun because they don't fight you back so much.
Except for maybe your own kids. I know my
Right. Well, I don't
I
try to
have
teach her anything. She's on her own journey. I mean, I don't even think she's ever seen the program, to be honest with you, because she hasn't. It's like, if she's interested, I'm happy to show it to her. But yeah, I mean that's one of the things, because part of the program is with parenting too. It's just as important, if not honestly more important. And it's allowing your kids to be who they are and guiding them and pointing, but not forcing.
Yeah. Yeah, so you say it's for teens, but really it's for both. It's a collaboration, right?
A
So
hundred
the
percent.
parents need to get exposed to this education as well and
Yes.
realize that there are partners in
Yes.
this and that it's not just, oh, it's them. They have problems,
Yes.
they need to be fixed or whatever might be going through a parent's head, right?
Yes, 100%. It's so important to do the program as a family so that everybody's on the same page, so that you're sharing the same language. The understanding is universal. So for me, the younger you can get it, the better. But it just makes sense for everybody to be able to share that common language. We use a lot of symbols and metaphors, and to be able to have that in your household is so powerful because then you all have this platform to, like a starting point, which I really love.
Yeah, that's amazing. And what about aunts and uncles and grandparents of teens? What do you think about that
Yeah, I
population?
mean, I, again, the content is universal. So no matter how old you are, the content is so powerful. And it's interesting, like I said to you, if we are working with CEOs and teams in companies, and we have people coming to our retreat, they're getting the same information. They are getting the
Mm.
same information. So in our program for teens, we just speak to them in a language that they can understand. So anybody, when a whole family is exposed to this, to be able to use that language and say, I'm just snow globing right now, or, to be able to say, you know what, I'm in the red, so I know I'm not making a lot of sense right now, so let's discuss this later. And also learning to not take things personally. I mean, there's so much valuable information that are just going to help the family dynamics in no matter where you are in the family tree. Yes.
Yeah, that's great insight for your teachings and your programs. So I was wondering, what is your mission and how does it align with humanity's team of oneness and raising consciousness?
Yeah. What's coming to me is just to wake us all up to our potential. We
Mm,
all have infinite potential, every single one of us. And there's no hierarchy of, well, I've done this longer, so then. No, no. We all can have the experience of just waking up to the truth that we're all okay. No matter what the outside world tells us, no matter what our circumstances are, there is a beautiful, magnificent presence of oneness in all of us. And if we can take our hands off the wheel, which I'm constantly learning, and I always say, if I ever say I got it, run, right? Because we're constantly students, right? But just that practice of taking our hands off the wheel and allowing life to love us, allowing ourselves, without all of these conditions. That's my mission, is just to share what even as a kid I saw was just so it was so prevalent and obvious to me even as a kid, that like my joy was connection, and my joy was always just, maybe holding a space for someone who maybe other people wouldn't hold a space for. I was the kid that would go to the back of the bus and sit with the kids that nobody wanted to sit with, or in front, because I just didn't see that there was any difference between us. And that's since I was a kid. So I've always known that, my purpose is to, I don't want to say be the light, because that sounds, it's got a piece to it that sounds greater than, and there's none of that. But
yeah.
to hold
Or
that
shine the
expression.
light. Maybe it's shine the light.
Yes, just to hold
Yeah.
that expression for
Yeah.
someone else to
Mhm.
experience their own light, regardless of their circumstances, because that's where the uncovering begins. When you can
Mm,
see that light is within you, that uncovering, it's available for you.
that's beautiful. I love that connection to your
Yeah,
own experience. You had such a big heart and you have such a big heart. So
yeah.
I'd love for you to share your journey to becoming a coach and having your own segment on CBS.
Yeah, thank you. So, um, I did the typical things. You know how you grow up in a household and you learn certain rules, like, well, you have to do this and you get married at this age and you have this
Yeah.
kind of wedding. We all do. Our circumstances are different, but we all sort of have these guidelines that we believe are going to create happiness and peace in our life. So I did all of those things. And at one point, I remember I had like the bucket list, and the bucket list was fulfilled. And I had the things. I was in a beautiful home. I had a healthy, beautiful baby girl, and I it was on the outside a very beautiful life, but on the inside I knew that there was a piece missing. And that was when it was like that, well, there must be something more, just like this gnawing inside of you, which I'm sure all of us have felt, right? That must be something more. And somebody gave me a book. Wendy Halpern gave me a book called Many Lives, Many Masters by Brian Weiss. And I read that book and I knew it was true. And it wasn't so much the past life. It wasn't that was what I hung on to, although I do believe that that is true. But what
Yeah,
was
we have a
so,
lot of that on
yeah,
Screen Plus,
yes.
past live information. Yeah.
But what was so like what pulled me so deeply was the fact that we are here to love, like the message from the masters, that we are love.
Mm.
That's it. And I knew it was true. It was just one of those things where, oh, like, oh no, that is true. When you see something, you feel something, and you know it's true. I deeply knew that that was true. So that sort of took me down the rabbit hole of wanting to learn more and study. And so that's what I did. That was, my daughter's 20 now, and she was about 2. So maybe she was about a year and a half, actually, when I'm thinking about it. So that's how long ago it was. And then I was so blessed to be able to study with such amazing teachers. And I've run the gamut. I've run the gamut with every single modality. And I think, um, there's probably some that I've missed, but all those years of just being so fascinated with learning, and I'm still learning. I'm always a learner. That's our favorite activity. My husband and I right now are on a course. We're
Oh,
always learning. Um, it brings me such joy to be in the space of learning that it I would say that what we present is an amalgamation of all the things that we've learned through all the years, and mostly from our own life experience, right? Because you sort of test these things out, you learn them, and then you say, well, where does that apply to me? Where do I see that in my life? And or how can I uncover that for myself? So I feel like what we share is an amalgamation of all of those things that we've sort of like, siphoned it down to a very simplistic form that is very teachable to kids, to kids and adults. But it's very teachable because not everybody is going to want to speak in, let's call it the woo-woo language. And I don't blame them. It's not for everybody. Some people are very practical, and that makes sense. I have a very practical part of my life as well. I enjoy the woo-woo because it feels super comfortable and cozy. But, there I am. I can talk on television and I'm not talking anything woo-woo. I'm talking very practical things. So I think what we've
mm.
done is sort of broken it down into a very practical language where underneath that, you see who you actually are, without making anybody uncomfortable. Let's put it that way, at least for the program, because the idea is for the program to get to everyone, and you don't have to be, you don't have to think, well, I'm looking for a spiritual answer, because most, 11-year-olds aren't, right? Or, 16-year-olds, they might
Mhm.
not be. But it doesn't matter because you'll get what you need, because I believe it's explained in a way where you see that there's so much more without making you, forced into a box of belief. It's just sort of awakening to what's already there.
Mm. Yeah, that's beautiful because I'm sure kids don't want to be forced into anything.
No, and I don't blame them. And I always say to parents, like, let this sink in. Don't force them. If they don't
Mm.
want to watch it, don't watch it. If they don't
Mm.
want to take part in it, don't take part in it. You'll know the time. Make it fun. Grab, make some popcorn, sit in front of the TV with a bowl of popcorn, make it fun. And then,
Uh-huh.
encourage them where, you notice, oh, that's so cool. I noticed that you're X, Y, and Z, where they feel like, oh, wow, that must be helpful for me, but
Mhm.
we never want to push them. We don't want to tell them what they're doing wrong. We don't want to force our opinions on them. We want to let them uncover their own inner genius, which we all have.
Yeah, and how beautiful to discover that as a teen.
Yes.
And did you have a shift in your own life, as far
Yeah.
as like your memories of being a teen and your own struggles?
I would say it's funny now looking back, I'm like, oh, okay, that's why. But here's the thing. I feel like you know, typical school wants to put you in a box, right? Because that's how I felt. And I was like, oh gosh, I don't fit in this box, but I have to fit in the box because I have to get a certain grade. That's how you feel
Mm.
as a kid. Like, oh, if I don't do this, I'm bad and wrong. Like, why isn't this easy for me? And I can literally remember, being in class, my friends used to lovingly call me a space cadet. They really did. But, being in
You're
class,
a dreamer.
yeah, yeah, I was on the stage. I was an actress and a singer, and I was in all the plays and I was class vocalist and that was my whole thing and all I love music. I love music and that was my calling. So for me, it wasn't so easy to sit in history because I didn't really care, to be honest. I'm being totally honest. I did not at the time. I didn't really care about history. I cared about music. I cared about Broadway. You know what I mean? I cared about being on stage. That's where I was in my life. So now that I look back, I see the beauty and the okayness of that. And I'm so grateful today that there are other learning institutions for kids where they can go online and learn if that's better for them. Or we're working with the Waldorf School now in Palm Beach County. And
Oh,
I'm so excited about that. But, they see the value of sharing with their students this foundation. And that's an area where this program would just be amazing in schools because and even the schools would see value in it because schools value how their students are doing. They look at the actual numbers. Most that's what's important to schools. That's how they
hmm.
get funded, right? But when kids have this understanding, they just do better anyway because their minds aren't so messy. There's not so much self-judgment. They're just okay with where they are. So for me, I didn't have that. So school was not super easy for me. But when I got into college and I got to study music, that was easy for me because that was my joy. So now when I look back, I can see where there was judgment, but
Mm.
luckily I got to see, my parents were amazing. They championed that I loved the stage. So, I was going to the Swarthmore Players Club for people that are from Philly every Saturday. And, I was in the plays and in the chorus, and, my parents were very supportive of that. So that was really great. But I think that now that I look back, I see how, there was a part of me that wanted to live that wasn't supported in that typical environment.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
And maybe you were able to thrive because your parents supported you. They saw
yeah,
the genius within you
yeah,
and helped facilitate that.
yeah.
That's
I
amazing.
mean, they are just magical. Yeah. And they always, I mean, just magical,
Yeah.
really. Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about the program that you offer on Stream Plus, Shift Happens. What are some of the topics you cover, and how can people feel when they complete the course? How do
Yeah.
people typically feel?
The word that comes to mind is freedom. It's
Oh,
freedom to be you, to know that all things are possible. Like I feel like we all have something that wants to move through us. We all have a very specific um, energy that wants to be born through us. It's that passion that we feel for something, right? So like for me, it was music, right? And sharing. And I felt, that joy of when I was singing, um, so there's all something very specific that wants to be born through all of us. And one of the modules in the course is called Obstacles or Illusions. And it's later on in the course, but it's one of my favorites because if there's one thing that I would love for kids to see, it's that all things are possible, that
mm,
obstacles are illusions. And you can Google the secret to magic tricks, right? You can Google it, and on YouTube, there's a segment about how the magicians make the elephant disappear, which I just recently saw, which is amazing. And it literally is smoke and mirrors. It is absolutely, literally smoke and mirrors. And that is life. It is smoke and
Mm.
mirrors. And the example that we give in the course is of Roger Bannister, who ran the 4 minute mile when everybody said,
Oh,
well, that's
yeah.
impossible. That's impossible. Well, no, it's not. It's not
Mhm.
impossible. So that's what I really want kids to see is this freedom, their abilities.
Mm.
That we do, if we have a desire, if something feels authentic and true to us, not to put these perceived blocks in front of us, but just one thing that occurs to you in the moment to take a step towards your dream. Doesn't have to be, you don't have to have everything figured out. What is that one thing that's moving through you that feels joyous, and do that.
Yeah,
That's
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 wonderful.
my favorite. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, do you think obstacles are to motivate us? What do you think the purpose is spiritually for obstacles?
I think it's to uncover that they're not really there,
Okay. Yeah.
and maybe to uncover our knowing that as creators, all is possible.
Yes.
All is possible. And I say that with truly going to our heart, because, like, for instance, when I say all is possible, I don't mean that I'm going to be, a famous football player. It's not anything I desire to do. It's not in it's not in
Hmm.
my makeup, right? So when
Yeah.
I say all things are possible, I mean what is moving through you.
Yeah. What's coming to you? What does your
Yes.
intuition say? What
Yes.
visions are you having? Right. Okay.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
makes sense.
So,
Mm.
I do believe that, it's like the obstacles, and I think, maybe we are creating the obstacles with our own fears and doubts because we
Oh, you're
don't,
getting profound.
right?
Yes.
Because we don't know who we are, that we are, right, we're consciousness
Yeah.
experiencing itself, and consciousness doesn't judge what the
Hmm.
experience is.
Hmm.
Consciousness doesn't say, well, you're this age and you should have this and that, or you no. Consciousness is just enjoying the journey.
Mm.
We are judging it, the ego, right? The
Right.
our made up construct, our mask, it
Hmm.
is judging where we are and how we should be, and that
Right.
causes stress.
Yeah.
It
It
just
does.
does.
Yeah.
That's what causes our stress. It's not the
Yeah,
world.
that's a good point. And, some people might not even see those obstacles, or they may just think nothing of them and just plow through them, jump over them, or move to the side, and then it's just all clear.
Yeah. And that's the beauty, I think, of our youth has that
Mm.
ability, as
Yes.
long as they don't have too much contamination from the outside world, right?
Right.
Or if they don't believe it, because we are products of our parents, we're products of our upbringing. That's,
Mhm.
we're constantly learning and absorbing what they're sharing with us. So to know that we do have the ability to decide and follow our dreams and follow where we are being led, to me, is priceless, and I want kids to know this, like, super early. Because it
Yeah.
just, no matter where they are, I mean, there's no age that does not prosper from this understanding. But to me, the if we can get these kids in middle school, high school, so that they can go off to college if they choose, or if they don't choose, who cares? It's up to them. But they go out into the world, just being comfortable in their own skin, regardless of their circumstances, to me, that's priceless.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it might not be the kid's fault because, like you said, they're contaminated. It's
Yeah.
maybe a teacher mentioned that there's obstacles and they can't do everything, or a parent or someone in their life,
Yeah.
and it's stuck with them
Yeah.
as a belief system, but it's not a reality.
Yes. Yes. That's
Mhm.
it. And that's what we want them to see. We just want them to know who they are and what's possible. And if there's something that doesn't feel Authentic, it doesn't feel authentic for a reason, and you don't have to go there.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, beautiful. Well, I'd love to play a clip from Stream Plus, Shift Happens. Do you have that first clip?
Guess what? We are not going to put more on your plate. There's not going to be more for you to learn. We're actually going to take things off of your plate. So by the end of this series, you're going to have less worry, less stress, less anxiety. You're going to feel more confident, have higher self-esteem. You're going to learn to let go of all the stuff that just makes your mind really busy and keeps you in a low mood. We are going to look at our innate well-being.
Yeah, and a lot of times we struggle with this because we've been taught a fundamental misunderstanding, innocently, but we've been taught almost from birth, and that is looking in the wrong direction. And a lot of these times, it seems like we're actually looking in the right direction. So it's very subtle, but we're going to show you how you can be comfortable in your own skin. And that's vitally important here. But no matter the circumstances, so the circumstances are not dictating how you feel.
That's exactly right. You see, we already have everything that we need to feel good. Most of us think that our well-being comes from the outside. And when it looks like that's the case, we are constantly chasing our tail for our happiness. We're always looking outside of us.
What do you think about that? What you said, we're always looking outside of us.
Yeah, we're taught to look outside of us for our happiness. That's why it's a constant climb. Well, when I get that, I'll be happy. And that's what happened to me. It's like, oh, when I get married, I'll be happy. When I have a kid, I'll be
Mhm.
happy. When I get this job, I'll be happy. When I build a house, I'll be happy. All these things that we come up with thinking, oh, when that happens. But I mean, how often do you see, people have goals and they reach the goal, but they're back in the same shoes they were in before they reached the goal. There's a little bit of a high there, and then we're right back where we are, because wherever you go, you take yourself with you. So it's so important to let to just educate the world, that our peace, our happiness, our well-being comes from the inside, comes from the inside. And from that space, we experience the world from a much happier, peaceful place. And then all the things are fun, but there's no pressure on them. They're just an added bonus. And whether you get them or not, you're still okay. Who cares? You don't have so much on the world having to be a certain way in order to be happy. That's exhausting.
Mm, I see. So you don't put the value on your achievement, whether you're going to be a singer or
Yes.
the lead in this play. You
Right.
you know that you're worthy no matter what. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it becomes fun. So if
Mm.
you don't get the lead role, you're still okay. How magnificent is that? And if you get the lead role, you're okay. But your happiness, your peace isn't dependent on it. So then everything that you're striving for is fun. It's not life or death. And what happens a lot of times to kids, because there's so much pressure today, is getting that goal is life or death.
Hmm.
I don't get that. I'm horrible, bad, and wrong. And no, you're not.
And do you think that now this is going a little bit darker, but do you think that could be some of the cause of suicide or
Yeah.
thoughts of because a circumstance happened and
Yeah.
their value was associated with that. What do you
Yes,
think about that?
I do. I absolutely do. I think it is a misunderstanding, and I'm not saying that there can't be something that's chemically not right up here, right?
Okay, good
There
point.
can be things that are blocked, right?
Yeah.
Because I know there've been autopsies on, people, and they've seen, oh my goodness, X, Y, and Z was shut off, right? However,
Interesting.
however, yes, I do believe that, especially as a teen, because their brains aren't as developed as
Hmm.
adults. So and also they romanticize things. They romanticize things like, if I don't get, they romanticize, it can be romanticized. The experience of taking your life can be
Taking your mind.
romanticized by a
Yeah.
teen, because they are
Hmm.
not fully developed. right? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I do believe this misunderstanding that and it's what they're learning today. You know, there's so much pressure with social media today that they can feel inadequate if they don't have the, you know, the fame that people are getting on TikTok or YouTube or whatever it is. You know, I think that there can be a lot of misunderstandings that can lead people to this very dramatic "my life is over," which again,
Mm-hmm.
in a teen's mind, they don't have the processing yet of the implications of that.
Yeah, because I don't want to get too emotional, but my kids talk like that.
Yeah,
They say, if I don't get this, I'm gonna die. And it's just
yeah.
an expression, but it
Yes,
really, I feel that, I
yes,
feel that.
yes,
These just an expression. It's
sure,
intense. It's intense for a parent.
sure, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's why we want to have these conversations. You know, we want to show them the temporary nature of their experience. It's so hard for them to see it. But to me, this is the most important conversation you can have in the house. You know,
Hmm.
there's an illusion of right and wrong. You know, there's an
Hmm.
illusion of the must-haves. Um,
Right. Because a lot of times you'll hear of the suicide and people may be surprised because they're a successful athlete, straight A student. They have looks like they have everything going for them, and people are like, how could have this had happened? Um, so anyways, it really touches me when I hear those stories of kids, that
yeah,
I mean, of course, it touches me anytime, but
yeah,
when you hear, oh my gosh, they had it all, like what would have been the answer for them to help them get out of that feeling,
yes,
you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. And you know, once it gets so debilitating and so painful, you know,
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's important to be having these conscious conversations with your children all the time.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
is.
Good point.
Yeah, because
All
they're
the time.
so easily influenced.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, you talked about some of the challenges that teens are facing today. Can you talk about more of them and how does Shift Happen for Teens address these issues differently than
Yeah.
traditional approaches?
Yes, I'm so happy to do that. The foundation of the program is that we are naturally okay. So we use the metaphor of a diamond because metaphorically, a diamond can't be tarnished or broken, and that's us. That's us. So we start there with, you know, because just like anything else, if you can build the most gorgeous house, but if you're building it on quicksand, good luck. And most of us are building things on quicksand because we are so afraid to slow down and see the truth because we've just been very programmed to believe our happiness is in things. So the foundation of the program is that we are the diamond, that we are perfectly perfect. And we show them in the first module, we teach where our experience is coming from, right? That we are already perfectly perfect. We come out of the womb perfectly perfect. And then we learn things from 0 to 7. We're a sponge. We're literally in the theta state, the state of hypnosis. So very innocently, we are learning all kinds of things. So we call it, because kids think this is hysterical, and to be honest with you, adults do too, we call it poop, right? Everybody thinks poop's funny. But
I can't
right? I mean,
I
it's
can't stop
hilarious.
laughing.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's hilarious. And adults find it hilarious too. But we get all kinds of poop on top of our diamond. This is literally like what's happening, right? And so we're covered in it, right? And the poop, it's all of our thinking, it's all of our conditioning, it's all of our, you know, ruminating thought, it's our beliefs, all this kind of stuff that we get on top of our diamond, which says, I'm bad and wrong, I'm not good enough, I need to be this way. You know, the world's not okay unless that happens, all these stories. And then we don't want anybody to see our poop because frankly, it's really stinky, right? So what do? We paint over it. So what's the paint? The paint can be the bully. right? Well, I'm terrified and uncomfortable in my own skin, so I'm not going to show you that. So I'm going to be a tough guy, right?
Mm,
Right? Or it can be like, for me, it was, I'm going to be everybody's best friend, right? Everybody love me so that I can be your
okay.
best friend,
Even
right?
if you didn't like them or they were mean,
What I'm saying is, like, your paint can be whatever you need
whatever it
to
is. Yeah.
do
It's like a
to,
costume.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's your costume, and the paint can be, I'm always a straight A student. Nobody will know that I'm secretly uncomfortable if I'm valedictorian. There's
Mm,
nothing wrong with that, right? As long as your happiness isn't attached to it. If your happiness is attached to it, you will be chasing your tail for the rest of your life, because after valedictorian, it'll be something else and something else and something else, and you will be completely exhausted, right?
mhm.
So we show them how this whole system works, right? And then there's a questionnaire, like a PDF. It's a little workbook that comes with it, like, where's, what's my poop? And then you start looking, oh, wow. I
Mm,
do have a story running around in my head about that I'm not good enough because I want to be more like my sister. I want to be more like my brother. I want to be more like my neighbor. So I'm telling myself innocently that I'm not good enough. Oh, I see that now, right? Where's your paint? Oh gosh, you know what? I noticed that if I'm not the first one, picked for this, or whatever it is that we come up with, like, I noticed that, I'm always really cool. I'm the cool kid. I'm always trying to be really cool. I'm not willing to be vulnerable. I'm not willing to show people that, that makes me uncomfortable, right? Even though nothing can make us uncomfortable, but that's getting super technical, but that feels uncomfortable, right?
right.
We just start to notice. Now, here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with the paint. Again, as long as it's not a life or death thing. So, like, a paint can be things that we want to acquire, right? Or things that, like, I think about the kids in the Olympics today.
Mm,
Bravo, right? They wanted to be in the Olympics. It's so gorgeous. Now, if things don't go the way they planned, the hope is that they still know that they're the diamond. They
yeah.
still know that they're gorgeous. They still know that they're perfectly perfect, so that it
Mhm.
was fun and not life or death. So that's what I'm talking about. To
Right.
get to see that there's nothing wrong with the paint. It's the mask, the character that we create, right? The character's here to have fun. The character's not here to suffer. So
Yeah.
that's the foundation of the program. And we keep pointing back to the diamond. In every module, we point back, we point back, we point back, we point back.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And giving the example of the Olympics, I
Yeah,
mean, that to me is like the pinnacle. And I've
yeah,
attended the Olympics a few times, and not in Paris this year, but other Olympics.
yeah.
And just the energy and the vibration, even just
Mhm.
being there is so exciting. So I hope, the people that are there realize that it's the experience and not necessarily getting first place, the gold medal, the silver medal, because I'm sure, you can see a lot of disappointment on the faces, when
Yeah,
they get
yeah,
second place and miss that touching the wall by a half a second,
yeah,
However, it's so close,
yeah.
it's just interesting.
And again, it's a game. It's meant to be fun. And that's where we just want to remember, okay, this is a game. It's meant to be fun. We're meant to have these and even enjoy. And this sounds so crazy, but just imagine allowing yourself to enjoy all of those emotions, without attaching them to the story. That's where our freedom is, right?
Mhm,
Our freedom is allowing that gorgeous energy to move through us. We're the ones that label the energy good, bad, right, wrong,
mhm.
right? So if
Yeah,
we would just allow that energy to move through us without attaching it to a story, there's such a freedom in that.
yeah, yeah, it is. It's true freedom. Well, I'd love to hear from the audience. If anyone has any questions, feel free to put it in the chat and you'll get your question answered. And while we're waiting for those, I'd like to share another clip where you talk about the diamond with nail polish.
Oh,
For me, it was everybody's best friend. I'm everybody's best friend.
Yeah.
That was my nail polish.
That's it.
And then as I got older, my nail polish became, look at the house I live in, look at the car I drive, look how much money I make, look how pretty I am.
Yeah.
It's all those things because we think that to cover up all of these beliefs, which is I'm not enough, I should be prettier, I should be smarter, I'm not good enough. We think in order to cover those up, by achieving things, that we will feel better.
Right. I'll be happy when, or I'll be good enough when, or I'll be whatever it is. But here's the thing, is we then have the misconception that this, the nail polish, is what's keeping us safe. That the more nail polish we can get, this, now remember, I was in the world of personal development, of self-help, of psychology. This is pointing towards this. It's to try and build this like motivation. I know that sounds weird because that's very controversial to say, well, isn't motivation good? Well, none of this is bad. It's not that it's bad. It's just whether you think is having a fancy car or being a straight A student or looking after your body, is that fun? Is that something you enjoy? Or is it life or death? Exactly. Because when it's life or death, you're looking at this to protect you rather than this to enhance your life. Yeah. And that's where I was looking. I was looking at this the entire time, and all we want to do in this entire session and in our entire course is to point you right back here.
Yeah.
Because when you go back here, life becomes so much better. No longer will you have, now you'll have the poop, it just happens. It's an illusion, but it's a very, very strong illusion. So you'll have the poop, but it'll start to fade away and it won't have the hold on you that it ever did before. And as for the nail polish, well, that's for fun. Yeah. You'll actually enjoy your life rather than thinking, oh my gosh, if I don't lose this 10 pounds, everybody will think I'm terrible, right? I'm hoping nobody's actually saying that right now.
No, but it's so cool. I love what you're saying, because once we see that we're the diamond, yeah, then these things are fun. Being on the cheerleading team is fun. Getting a cool car is fun. Buying a nice house is fun.
Yeah, that's a great clip with you and your husband. And I love his voice, his accent, and it's powerful too. He's a powerful leader with you.
Yeah, he's phenomenal. I mean, this is us. This is us, and he is that leading force, you know, behind this. I always say he's the researcher. He really is. I mean, he's just incredible. And it's so beautiful. I feel very blessed that, you know, in this lifetime here we are creating together. I'm sure we've done this many times before and we'll do it again. But it's really fun to see these things together. And, you know, it's fun to know that it's all okay. Like, it's fun to know it's all okay. Because I think there can also be this misunderstanding, even in the world of spirituality, that, oh, if you're super spiritual, you don't want for anything. Well, you know, the nails, I love my nails. I love nails. I do. And for a while I didn't have them and I was like, I miss my nails. I want the nails, right? Like, you'll always see me in a dress. I love dresses. Like, I like girly girl things. Well, that doesn't mean that I'm not, you know, I guess here's what I'm going to say. It's not life or death for me. It's fun. Like, I know if I don't have my nails done, I'm still okay. I know if, like, not wearing a super cute dress, I'm still okay. Like, all those things, like but it's fun. Those things are fun. And we're here to have fun. Like, that's the thing. I feel like you go through, like, when you look in this direction, you go through all these different phases of, like, you know, is it okay for me to want things? Of course it's okay to want things, right? You know, or is it okay for me to, you know, to want to have a glass of wine? Well, if you want to have a glass of wine, have a glass of wine, right? It's like, where are you in the world? It's all good. It's all fine, you know? Mm-hmm. And then, you know, in some point in my life, I was at yoga twice a day. You know, I go to yoga a couple times a week. It's all okay. It doesn't matter, mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. I think the whole point is to enjoy the journey without suffering, without suffering. And this is where we suffer. And that's why what this course does is it shows you how this works so that you're like, oh, I'm the one that's creating this, innocently creating the idea of suffering, you know?
Mm. Right, right. And I think as humans, we're meant to want, we're meant to desire, and it's
Yeah,
anything bad or evil. In fact, it's our innate nature, and it helps us live our best life and have amazing experiences and different
yeah,
experiences.
yes,
So it's a
yes.
healthy thing to
Yes,
desire
that's
things.
total. That's how we create, you
Yeah,
know? That's
yeah.
how we create, and it's part of the what the makes the world go round, you know?
Mhm. Yeah. Well,
It's
how has your program helped teens and parents of teens shift their vibration or have an awakening?
Yeah. Well, I think, one of my favorite stories to share, because it was just so impactful, was we had a girl come. She was 13 at the time, and she was experiencing like severe OCD, where she would not go to bed till 2 in the morning.
Oh, oh, because she was organizing or
Because her room had to be perfectly perfect. I've never had that experience, but she did. Um, and it
that
was
shouldn't
just
be either.
right. But it was disrupting her family because she had a
Right.
brother. Imagine the mom's trying to get the kids to school, and she wouldn't wake up because she was tired. It was, I mean, the whole family was was suffering, right,
Yeah.
with this experience. And it was when we did retreats, which this course is based off of the retreat. It literally is the retreat. So it was
Okay.
over 2 days. And the first day she came in, and she had told us that she was having this experience. The next day she came in and she said, I went to bed last night at 8 o'clock.
Oh,
So
that's amazing. And now
she
I had
said,
a question about
yeah,
this, and you can talk about her more.
yeah.
Is this retreat meant for parents to attend also, or is it an optional thing
So
where only the kids can do?
we've done both, but this one
Oh,
was
okay.
just for kids. But I did
Oh,
work with
that's
her
so
mom.
fun.
Yeah, I did work with her mother as well.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
but so she came in the next day and she said, I went to bed at 8 o'clock. And we were like, what? That was how quickly she saw that her room didn't have to be perfect. And
Hmm.
what's so interesting is I just interviewed her for Obstacles or Illusions, which is part of our series. And she's 18 now. She's going off to college. And she was saying how, she saw that her worth was not based on anything outside of her. And it really woke her up. And she said she actually wrote her college essay on her experience.
Wow.
But yeah, and it's interesting because even the mom, I run into the mom every once in a while, and she said it was so impactful to have the support as parent, because there's a lot of, it's never the kid. It's just not. This is a family thing, for
Hmm.
everybody to be on the same page, because a lot of times, very innocently, parents can be perpetuating the problem. Again,
Hmm.
innocently, they
Hmm.
don't realize that they're doing it, or perpetuating, the incident, whatever's happening.
Hmm.
Um, so that was one of my favorite stories, because it was so impactful for her, and because to see the impact over the years, to see
Hmm.
how it stuck with her, was really, really beautiful. I had
And
another.
that's amazing.
It
I
was
just
it
wanted
was
to,
yeah,
yeah, make a comment about that because
yeah,
sometimes when a teen or a child gets a diagnosis, pe parents or others think that they can fix it with medication.
yeah,
And so it's just amazing that parents have opened their mind to both. I mean, you can
yeah.
have medication and then also have these strategies, don't you think?
Yeah, totally. I mean, here's the thing, like the medication can be like the Band-Aid to get you through something, but you want to see, because you want to get to the cause, right?
Mm-hmm.
The medication is never what was missing in the body, right?
Hmm.
So you want to get to the cause, and
Yeah.
that's what we help you do. But if the medication is going to help you have a better, more healthy circumstance getting there, of course, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I liken it to, you get a brand new car that has a GPS, but you're using the Atlas map. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
We want to know, how do you use the car? What are the gadgets? So that's what we're doing, is we're teaching them the gadgets.
Yeah. That's so
Yeah,
beautiful. And so let's play a clip. We actually have one of your students. We have a testimonial. So I'd love to share that clip right
sure,
now. Jen?
sure.
So one of our students, Stella, she's 14, she said, after learning these principles, I no longer worry. I see it's my thinking, and I know I'm just experiencing weather, and my thinking passes. I feel confident and comfortable just being me and no longer waste my time worrying about what others think. I truly appreciate everything you and Lee have done for me.
That's nice.
So we've got a really cool clip from Stella too.
Hi, my name is Stella, and I just spent a couple of hours with Andy and Lee, and I've been feeling a lot happier and less anxious recently. And the reason why is because I've been feeling more comfortable in my own skin and with who I am.
So sweet.
And
She
it's
was,
so touching. Oh
I
my
know.
God, that
I
just brings
love it.
tears to my eyes that
Yeah,
you literally are saving lives of families.
thank
You
you.
realize that, right?
Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Thank you. Yeah, she was really cute. She was going to a new school and she was terrified. Who can blame her? You know?
Yeah, that's
Um,
terrifying.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And can you share about one of your more challenging clients and how they
Sure.
were able to make a breakthrough in their lives?
Yeah, yeah. One other story that comes up for me is I had a mom contact me that her daughter was cutting and she was very young. She was 12 or 13 and put her, we put her into the program and it was the third lesson. I got to speak to her and I said to her, she was, I could see a change, right? So I said, what's been most impactful? And she said to me, well, I see that I'm not broken.
Mm,
She was under the illusion she'd been going to therapy. And in her experience, she had felt as though this means I'm broken.
yeah.
But one of the things that we are very clear about in the very beginning is no one is broken. So she saw that she was perfectly perfect. And what happened is there was no more need for that self-harm for her. So that was really, really beautiful. It was really gorgeous to see that. But again, she was willing. You have to be willing. That's the thing is that you must be willing to look in this direction. A lot of times it can be very tantalizing to stay in a story because you get
Mm.
attention from it, right?
Well,
There's that.
that's right. And it can become their identity,
Exactly.
and the parents are just like, what do you need? And
Right.
giving them more, maybe more
Yes.
love than they've ever gotten before, too.
Yes. And I have seen that too.
Yeah.
My husband and I worked in a treatment center years ago. So, we had dual diagnosis and we had people with addictions, and that was very prevalent, the attention around it.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, the key to that is to switch the attention to, you want to put the attention on what's going well, take the attention on what's not going well. So there's a dance in there, and that's why it's so
Mm.
important for parents to get support too.
Yeah, it's so important. I
Yeah.
mean, it's critical. You have to be on the same page,
Yeah.
speak the language that you're talking about, using the words. Well, you mentioned the importance of understanding the physics behind psychology. Can you explain what this means?
Yes.
Help.
So Sydney Banks, who brought the understanding of the principles behind our psychology, which is the physics behind our psychology. He uncovered these principles. He had an enlightenment experience around the age of 42. He was like a welder who had an 8th grade education and literally had this like awakening. And
Oh, that's so amazing.
he actually taught these principles to the physics professors at MIT. Really interesting. But the physics are that our experience of the world is via mind, which is the energy that's creating the world, right? The energy, whatever makes the grass grow and whatever makes, a baby grow in a mommy's belly, right? There's an energy there that we can't explain, but it's running the system. Our consciousness, our availability to see, our availability for expansion, right? And thought. We experience the world through thought in the moment. Without thought, well, we're not aware of anything, right? And based on our awareness, we see the world differently. So I like to use the metaphor of, being in New York City in a, very tall building. If you're in the basement, you can't see too much and you're thinking, wow, there's actually nothing here. This is really stinky and I'm terribly bored, right? There's nothing going on here. And it looks like there's absolutely nothing available, right? And then you see there's an elevator, so there's an awakening, right? You see there's an elevator, you get in, you go up to the 5th floor, you look around, oh my goodness, I'm in a neighborhood. I had no idea I was in a neighborhood. Wow, there's a pizza shop, fantastic. There's a playground, even better, right? Then you get back in the elevator and you go up to the penthouse and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm on an island. Who knew it? There's New Jersey. Oh my goodness, right? There's the Hudson River. I had no idea that these things were here when I was in the basement. So, that's how we work. And there's a physics to that. Like you can't get past gravity. I have my silly little readers here, and if I let go of them, they're going to drop. There's not one day that they're going to float, because the way that we work, things work on this planet, is gravity exists, right? So it's important to understand what's going on in the mind. We're not experiencing the world, we're experiencing our thinking about the world. And our thinking is very colored by our past experiences, because our mind, our brain, our mind it's a computer, and we're putting in programming, and then we're ruminating over that programming. So it's really good to know that there's more than that available for us, and maybe we're only seeing the past. Maybe we're not opening up to being in that penthouse. So that's why it's so important for us to know how the mind works. That's why I'm so passionate about, I think, this needs to be in schools. We need to be taught this at a young age. We need to have this understanding so that we are not at the mercy of what's going on in the world. We're not at the mercy of circumstances,
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, how does the concept of not identifying with anxiety, depression, or other diagnoses play a role in the transformation you hope to achieve?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. It's not buying into that's your identity. That may be an experience that you're having, right? I would never take it away when I feel it, right? I feel all ups and downs. It's just part of being human. But knowing that it's not your identity and that it is temporary, I think that's where we start. And then to be able to wake people up to the temporary nature. Like I've worked with people that are depressed, and then in the middle of our session, they're giggling. So they get to see it's
They
possible.
realize.
They get to see it's possible. Even if it's just a glimpse, they get to see, oh, that's not permanent.
Yeah. That's really profound. It doesn't sound profound, but it is profound to have that statement and that it's temporary.
Yeah.
And a lot of people feel these emotions, but don't talk about it. So it doesn't seem prevalent, but it is prevalent and it's pervasive and it's everywhere. But a lot of people don't talk about it. There's a stigma, or they think, oh my gosh, if I'm depressed now, then am I always going to be depressed? Am I having to take medication? And who am I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, can you provide some examples of the techniques or exercises that you use in the program to help teens and parents achieve a state of calmness and clarity?
Well, we teach them breathing. We just teach them our natural reset button, right? We have a sympathetic and a parasympathetic nervous system. So we teach them how to engage their parasympathetic nervous system, which is our natural ability to rest and relax, to reset. So that's the biggest practice that we teach them, is to just, breathe, to do heart breathing in through the nose and out through the nose, count in for 5, count out for 5, count out for 6, just to teach them that they can reset, that we have that ability to reset. I feel like that's the biggest tool, because it really is experiential. It's noticing things in your life. We're not so much saying do this and then, we're saying wake up to what's actually occurring.
Yes. Yes. That's beautiful. I love breathing as an exercise to help you move through the moment and be more present. So it's wonderful. Well, thank you, Andrea, for being here with me to share your incredible experience and your program, Shift Happens for Teens, Empowering the Next Generation with Andrea Vallely. And thank you, everyone in our audience, for joining us. We're so happy that you were here. We hope you enjoyed it. And Andrea's course is now available on Stream Plus. So join now and you'll get access to Andrea Valley's course and other incredible spiritual teachers and programs. So can we show the video of Stream Plus? We are proud to say that Humanity's Stream Plus is the largest global streaming platform for consciousness-raising masterclasses and transformational education. We are a nonprofit and also give back with our one-for-one program, sharing our content with those who cannot afford the membership. I wanted to thank Steve Farrell, Dee Meyer, and the production team, Jim Gray, Garth Catterall, Abby Johnson, Nanette Kennedy, and the rest of Humanity's team. It's been such a pleasure connecting with you again, Andrea, and thank you for being here and helping teens and parents. Many blessings.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So beautiful to be with you. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. Gratitude, gratitude, tons of gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you.